this is another reason the insurance industry was so attractive to me, especially from someone who had zero interest in insurance. I literally had no interest in doing insurance. If Jacob Gardner had texted me about insurance, I probably would have ignored it, to be honest. It was a little bit lucky that he had texted me that because I had no interest. Now I love it, obviously.
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency. Let's talk about selling right now, because I would, clearly you can sell, you enjoy selling, and you're good at it. And, that's the big thing that I think many agents will confuse early on is they'll think they got to know so much of the products or how to design, an annuity. And they're on these annuity trainings with Iowa. And I'm like, you don't even licensed in Iowa. Why are you on it? Well, Athene told me I had to watch this training video. It's 3 hours. I'm like, do you have an annuity to sell? No, but I wanted to be prepared. I'm like, well, how about you pay your bills today? Let's get prepared to pay your bills by selling some life insurance. So, you've got a great perspective and ability. Will you dig into kind of your lead sales process, your daily, weekly disciplines?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my sales process is pretty simple. In terms of systems, it's the same old systems that probably everyone uses. It just work ethic is different, right? I think that's honestly the only difference in like the difference between a 20,000 month producer and a 70,000. The systems are always gonna be the same. But in terms of like my lead flow, yeah, I mean, I love veterans leads. Those have always been kind of my long shot. I mean, to be honest, I wrote almost all my business last year on, working with some older veterans leads, and still wrote 360 grand in about 11 months. So if I had freaking January numbers, I probably would have been Hall of Fame, but we'll do it this year.
Right.
I pretty much had done that old. So a lot of, honestly, the sales side for me is just like thinking smarter, not harder. And just being like, diligent with your sales process. For me, if I'm going to do that, I was a big profit guy. I care about profit a lot. I honestly think everyone in this business, there's really no reason you shouldn't be profitable in this business. It's crazy, honestly, if you're not. But one of my ways I did that is I would work some maybe older age leads, but I would have a dialer run through them. So I'm still being super time efficient when it comes to my sales process. So I'm still in 8 appointments a day. They might have to go, the dialer might have to recycle through some more leads, but I'm going through, the fresher ones and she's going through those. So I'm setting myself up really easily for success. So every living moment, I'm not in a, agent call, recruitment call, helping, one of our guys in, a different office, whatever it is, right? I'm on the phones, in appointments. It also has really helped, hold me accountable. I very much recommend dialers to anyone doing 20,000 a month because it holds you accountable to a different standard because it's like, oh, not the same old stuff. It's like, I gotta go back, make my 300 dials a day. It's like, no, your schedule's already booked. You have, 6 to 8 appointments and you're, not going, you pay your dialers. So you're not going to not show up to your 6 to 8 appointments that day. There's literally no reason you wouldn't. Right. So for me, it was just kind of dialing in with that system, having an appointment setter and then obviously calling a little bit more fresh leads, over time. And it really worked with time efficiency because obviously I wanted to scale the business side as well.
So 8 appointments a day, you have a dialer. How many days a week are you running that?
How many days a week am I working?
Yeah. I mean, how many days a week do you book 8 appointments? Every day, 6 days, 7 days?
Every day, 6 days a week. Yeah.
6 days a week. Take Sunday off?
Well, not really. Sunday's just like where I'm building the business, but like I'm not making calls on Sunday. Yeah.
Understood. But this is, so for those that want, nothing, what is the great line? Nothing worth having comes easy and nothing easy is usually worth having. And that's the philosophy that you're, I'm working, right? I'm making up for lost time. I'm fighting the demons, my frustrations is solar. I don't want to lose this opportunity. And I want to grow my team to $1 million a month as fast as humanly possible, right? You do that working 6+7 days a week. Why? And this is, Sean used to talk about this. Society is built on a 5-day a week, 2 days off philosophy. So if we take 2 days off on set 52 weeks a year, that's 104 days that society is not working. Add in 10 days of sick time, add in 20, 2-3 weeks of vacation time. What are we at right now? We're at 130, 140 days that the world, society, is not working. 200-ish, 220 days a year, middle America is working. Kyle's working 320 to 340 days a year. Who's going to get ahead? And so this is trying to paint a picture of everybody here. You want to get ahead. You want to get out of where you're at. You want to build something. You want to sell 50,000 a month. You got to work. And it's not forever. You don't do this forever. A couple of years, dig in, build your team, lead them. Bro, I'm cheering you on, man. So, okay, so you got appointments. Let's hear, I'd love to hear kind of your open, your control, kind of how you set the table with appointments.
So when, I'm calling the appointment, right? They answer the phone, that kind of intro. Yep. Yeah. So my intro, just when I'm calling an appointment, it's just hey, is this Grady? Yeah. Hey, Grady, this is Kyle. I'm just getting back to you about that appointment we had for today. You spoke with my assistant Cassandra yesterday. This is just in regards to the new veterans programs. You listed your email as 123@gmail.com. Is that correct? And they're like, yeah, that's correct. And then I always, my rule of thumb, because I am, really big on the sales psychology side. I think that's probably one of my strengths. My rule of thumb, I do the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if it's an appointment. I'm not a big believer in different scripts for all these different types of leads. I do the exact same script for everything. I get 3 yeses. Every single time I start a call, I get 3 yeses. That's my non-negotiable. It's the non-negotiable I teach to everybody. I don't really care what kind of lead. I'll get creative. If it's just a lead with an email address and a state, I'll make up random stuff. I'll be like, okay, and you're, you have resided in, California for more than 1 year. Yes. Sometimes I'll make up random stuff. Right. But I will get 3 yeses every time. Why? Because it builds trust. First off, they like me. When you get yeses from people, they're going to like you more. They're like, yeah. Versus no, what do you mean? So they're going to like me a little bit more. I'm building an inherent relationship subconsciously in the first 30 seconds. And I'm also confirming things. So I build trust naturally. So that's my big rule of thumb. Just with the intro, regardless if it's an appointment, if it's a call to close, doesn't matter. I get 3 yeses.
So first off, that's fantastic. Everyone should be dropping yeses in the chat below to just show Kyle some love for dropping that on us, because that's fantastic. But are you verifying name, email, phone, just verification, or are you asking other directions? What are the yeses generally?
So vet leads, if anyone runs Life Jacket was my favorite ones last year. So those ones don't come with that as much, but I'll give you a lot of times we'll run these survey leads and they will have, more of that information like a typical ILC lead. So let's just pretend it's an ILC lead. So it's always date of birth, address. And then the other thing I'll say is and I'm assuming you haven't received anything in the mail about this yet. Is that correct? And you say, I'm assuming you haven't. So you get a yes, not a no. Did you receive anything in the mail? No. I'm assuming you haven't. Yes. Right. And the reason you want to ask that one as the last one is because that one transitions. That's exactly what I'm getting out to you. Because then you go into because now you're addressing okay, yes, that is my date of birth. Yes, that's my address. Yes, I didn't get anything in the mail. What is this? That's exactly what I'm getting out to you. And you kind of relieve any tensions and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they kind of go along with it, and it's just a way to really break free in that first 30 seconds. Cause my big thing is winning the first 30 seconds.
I love it, dude. So keep going. What else? What else you doing? Cause I'm already in. So I'm yes. What's next?
A lot of things. We have this thing. We have a sheet in our team that kind of came up with. It's called the golden rules. We go over this one a lot. It's just golden rules of, the call, right? One thing we train a lot on is tone matching, right? For example, if I'm working with a Georgia veteran, right, who's Mr. Big Boss guy, I'm going to, match his tone, match his energy at a very different level than, Stacy from Ohio, who's sweet, she's fragile. She's, just a very gentle lady. I'm going to match that tone, right? So I want to make it down to their tone because that builds that comfortability with them. Other things I teach everyone. This is my favorite thing for any objection in the entire world. So it's universal for us, right? Every objection in the entire world. I literally am always going to ask someone, okay, did you use the 3 A's? If they ever come to me with any objection ever, it's 3 A's. So it's agree, address, and ask a question. So what it looks like is this. So if Grady asked me oh, I'm calling you about the new life insurance programs here in California. You listed your date of birth, and they're like, what is this for? And you're like, yeah, this is just in regards. So your first word is always yeah. This is just in regards to the information you had requested on the new California life insurance programs. You had also listed your address as 123 Main Street. So you always agree, you address, what is this about? I'm addressing, and I'm asking a question because you got to control this conversation, get them back into another question where you have a yes. So, between those three things, you can win almost, you can just generically win a lot of conversations. But for us, it's just following those kind of golden rules, those expectations that we have for our team, because those kind of are universal. Right? 3A's is universal, right? Whether you give me a banking objection, you give me an intro objection, I can address it the same way. It's always agree, address, and ask a question.
Did you buy a course to learn these things? I mean, this is great stuff. Did you learn this on your own? Did you have a sales mentor? Is this from stuff from Solar? Is this just you pounding YouTube? Because this is good stuff, Kyle.
So if I were to attribute it to one, definitely I would say the guy I learned from in Solar was a dog. Like the head guy in Solar, he was a dog. One of the craziest closers I've ever met. Now, in terms of these rules, I will attribute a lot of just the philosophy to those guys because they taught me a lot. I think, but I think a lot of that also is they taught me a lot because I was willing to go above and beyond to go do all that extra stuff. Go to their apartment at night if I had a bad day, and I'd pick their brain ridiculous, for a ridiculous amount of hours because I just want, I was the youngest guy in the office, so I was hungry. So, but in terms of agree, address, ask a question, that I made up, kind of on my own, the 3 yeses. I kind of just made it up over time.
You start to figure out what works for you. And if it works for you enough times, you give it to someone, they go, that worked for me. Then all of a sudden you got trust in yourself. And then you try with someone else and they're like, it worked for me too. And all of a sudden, okay, this is how we do it, right? 3 S's,
exactly.
Agree, address, and ask. Okay, so let's get I want to hear some close techniques. How we close in, slamming it down, overcoming objections towards the back end of the presentation.
So effective date banking kind of
whatever you want to go over, because this is, you've been killing it.
My favorite effective date line is this, because I feel like your effective date really sets up your banking. I'll tell you this. I know it kind of gets debated. There's some top dogs on our team or in Caitlin's agency that actually get the banking first and then the effective date. I'm still an effective date, then bank. I kind of follow the exact Americo app basically. So effective date banking. But my favorite effective date line is this. I tell them, okay, obviously, with these new programs, right, this is, one of the more innovator programs, you're eligible, obviously, to have all of your benefits begin upon approval if you get approved here. So the question I have for you, Grady, is, of course, if you do get approved here, any reason you wouldn't want all of your coverages, benefits, and all of the, everything we've encompassed on the call to begin upon approval for you. And then what that line does is it basically either is going to pull out an objection that you're probably going to get banking anyway, right? Any reason you wouldn't want to begin upon approval, right? Because at the end of the day, you want effective immediately, right? You don't want this person to have to wait a month. They get the packet that, it's like Solar all over again, right? You want effective immediately.
They get billed 29 days and they go, oh, what the heck? We weren't planning on $160. Who's Americo? Yeah.
Exactly. You want effective immediately. So I'm going to do one of two things there, right? It's kind of like my favorite line in the business, which is hypothetically, if I was able to take you from this, if I'm, helping out someone get a better rate on the coverage, hypothetically, if I could get you, if you have 10,000 now, you got 15,000, we kept your rate the same. Any reason that wouldn't make sense. What that line does is it pulls out an inherent objection. So same thing in effective date. If I'm asking them any reason you wouldn't want all your benefits to begin upon approval, well, yeah, they might just tell me oh, no, this isn't a good time of the month. I have my Social Security come in on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So, okay, cool, right? We'll do that. But they'll also be yeah, I need to talk to my wife, right? Yeah, Grady, I'm not 100% sure I'm doing this yet. So, let's hold off on that. Because what I don't want to have is I get to banking and there's still that uncertainty with that objection. Right. So I'll go and address that objection. Okay. Obviously, your wife, I know it's just you right now who are dealing with this. Is there any reason you could foresee you having a product like this that's going to protect you and your wife right now, as well as when you're no longer here? Any reason you think she would turn something like that down? Right. And she's like, well, any reason you think that she wouldn't want to have a $15,000 check, if something happened to you tomorrow? And she's like, and they're like, well, yeah, it is kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, okay. I guess, yeah, she would be okay with it. And I'll be like, basically I'm kind of just pulling out. It really depends on what they tell me. But what's the most important thing about that line is I'm pulling it out before I get their bank account, because I don't want to deal with it. And then you get a banking objection, you get rescheduled, and the wife, oh, I got to wait for my wife to come home to give that information,
No, and a lot of that you'll dig out along the way, and then you're going to
100%.
find, then right there, boom, it's wife. I need to think about it, etc.
Exactly.
You got approval. That's excellent, man. So, what do you do at the very end to like tie it down? They don't talk to anybody else. I'm your broker for life. Any thank you cards, cookies, brownies? You send them a kitten. What do you do at the end of the conversation? / what do you do to solidify the sale?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy. I don't have like a crazy one. Like I'll tell you about one of our guys, Luke. He sends a thank you card to every single
Good job,
client
Luke.
he has. Yeah, shout out Luke. He's definitely on here right now. But he sends a thank you card or referral letter to every client he has. So he's he's doing that a lot. For me personally, I don't do that. Pretty much my solidification line is I tell them, obviously, I've got some good news, some bad news. I'm pretty sure this is, this line has gone down from generation to generation. Yeah, I got the good news.
It's a great
I got
line.
the bad news is, you're going to be stuck with me. And I'm an actor, I like to act it out. I'm like, yeah. And Grady, I got some good news and I got some bad news for you, man. Which one did you want to hear first? And I'll get all sad and I'm like, okay, the bad news first. Yeah, great. So the bad news is, unfortunately, you are going to be stuck working with me from here on out. Can you handle that one? Okay. And they'll be like, oh yeah, no problem, man. Okay. Well, great. Well, if you thought that was, not too bad of news, well, the good news is great then, because you actually got approved as applied here, which is the best form of approval. We can obviously get you here, and then I'll kind of break down the packet with them, text them over, the policy information, that kind of stuff. So that's my solidification. I think it's just the way you act it. So you kind of like make it funny for them, because they're like, oh, what, man, you got me good with that one. You'll have someone always say that. So I think it's just how you act that line, because I definitely did not come up with that line. That line has been passed down, I feel like, for quite a while.
The drama of it. And so for all the agents on there, like, he enjoys that, right? It's fun. He says it passionately. He's gotten success with it. The client likes it, right? So, big thing for everybody watching, like, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, right? Yes, you got to make sales. You got to get reward. You got to do what's right, ethical, moral, etc. But there's a little bit of drama to it. And that brings levity. It change the mundane, parts of your day into having a little fun. And I'm sure Betty's laughed a few times out loud and you're like, that was good. I got her good, right? So awesome.